Good morning, everyone, and welcome to um, the Wazobia 2021 Nigeria Week, showcasing Nigeria's heritage. We'll be starting the conference, and we will be starting our conference with our first session, looking at whether Nigeria is actually a giant with a feet of clay. We have 4 speakers joining us for this first session. Our first speaker is His Royal Majesty Eze Oje Ananaba, who is chairman of the Obingo Council of Traditional Rulers. Ascending to the throne of Okahia Ancient Kingdom in 2000, His Royal Majesty Eze Ananaba received his staff of office as first-class traditional ruler a year later from the then Governor Orji Uzo Kalu of Abia State. A graduate in medicinal chemistry from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, His Royal Majesty Eze Ananaba also holds an MBA from Imo State University, where he later became head of the marketing department. His professional experience also includes years in quality management in Luxembourg and in Nigeria, as well as a consultant for the Abia Health and Population Project. He was unanimously elected to the head of the Obingo Council of Traditional Rulers in 2020, 20 years after his ascension to the royal throne, and he'll be celebrating his 20 years coronation anniversary this year. Your Royal Majesty, you have the floor. You are, and we are very grateful, our patron of the day, and you have the floor for the first statement. May I ask that you unmute yourself, sir?
Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we
Good
can
morning.
hear you.
How are you? All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Are we ready to start?
Sir, you can make your statement now.
Are we ready to start?
Yes, we're waiting for you to make your statement.
Thank you very much. God bless you. I'm His Royal Majesty Eze Oje Ananaba. I feel highly delighted to be part of this program this morning, Wazobia 2021. From the acronym Wazobia. Wazobia is an acronym. And from the acronym, it means the 3 major ethnic groups in Nigeria as a country were put together to develop this program. From the language perception, Wa is a Yoruba language indicating meaning come, and Zo, Yoruba language meaning come too, and the Bia, which is my own tribe, Igbo, meaning come. So Wazobia is an acronym of the 3 major languages of this country, our great country, Nigeria. So I use this opportunity to welcome everybody on board and then to appreciate all of you for putting this program together and for us to have it globally today. My message to you people is very simple and short. That message is titled, Power Belongs to God. That is my key message. Power belongs to God. If you look at the scriptures, because I'm a Christian, you look at the scriptures from the book of Psalms, chapter 62, verse 11, you will see what God said there. He said, God has spoken once, and twice have I heard this, that power belongs to God. And it is because power belongs to God that you're able to come together far away France to put this program together. And for the benefit of mankind, Nigeria in particular, and then the global community. So my prayer this morning is for God to continue to give us life, for God to continue to give us good health, and then for God to continue to give us an upliftment. And then every testimony that will come thereafter will go to God. And because He's a caring Father, He will give us unlimited mercies, favor, and then every other good thing, so that any person, any eye that sees it will, or ear that hears will marvel. So I don't really know whether I've captured really what message you want me to give. I appreciate all you are doing there, and I will support you, and I give you full support to the extent you will need my services. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you. God bless Nigeria. God bless the Republic of France, and God bless the organizers of this program. I thank all of you for having me online.
It is our pleasure. And again, we're thanking you so much for joining us and making time in your, no doubt, very busy schedule. And we appreciate the blessings and the words that you have shared with us today. It is very much appreciated. Thank you again, sir. So
I will still be waiting to know if you have any other direction for me to go. I will still go. I will still go. Opening this program, I have not seen your kola nut. You are supposed to present kola nut for us to share on the program, and then kickstart with before prayer. We will have our kola nuts in Igbo land here. Before we do anything, we present kola to our guests, and then use our dialect, which is Igbo Ngwa language, to present that kola nut and bless it, and then kickstart the program. So I don't know what the arrangement is over there, but I'm still around. I'm still hearing you. I'm still watching. I'm still following. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're going to have to share a virtual kola nut today because we're all in very different countries spread across various continents. And I understand that we should have to go through the ceremonial sharing of the kola nut, but today I don't think that will be possible. If Mrs. Gaylord wants to say a word and thank our patron of the day now, you can do so. Otherwise, I will be introducing the session. Madam Gaya? Nope.
Okay. Royal Majesty, thank you so much, sir, for making time to be here. We appreciate your presence. Unfortunately, we don't have a kola nut here to present because the condition doesn't permit us to. But we'll be doing that in our next session, God willing. Thank you so much, sir, for making time from your busy schedule, for taking time from a busy schedule to be here. God bless you, sir. And I welcome my other our honorable speakers. Our ears are open to hear you, sirs and ma'ams. Thank you, and have a wonderful deliberation.
Thank you, ma'am. So, and again, thank you so much, sir, and God bless you, and thank you for making the time to join us today. So, we are delighted to present Nigeria Week, Wazobia 2021. And as I said, we are all spread across a variety of countries, and we are all coming together today because we share something that is very dear to all of us, which is Nigeria. The goal of this conference is not just to discuss various issues and point fingers at this people, but actually bring forth recommendations and solutions that we think are being overlooked or need to be invested in more. All of our speakers today have various expertise ranging from trade, finance, governance, urbanization, and all of them will be bringing together their expertise and their experience in Nigeria and abroad to highlight what Nigeria needs to do, and to some extent Africa as well, needs to do for us to actually transform from being a giant with feet of clay to an iron giant, which Nigeria is. Not that long ago, Nigeria was supposed to be a giant to be reckoned with, not only in Africa, but worldwide. And unfortunately, a lot of things have undermined that status. And it is our hope that the new generations can challenge that. And it is our hope that this conference will highlight how best to go about this. So without further ado, I will be introducing our first speaker of the day, Professor Ayodele Johnson, who will be talking about the political elite factor in Nigeria's security and infrastructure decline. Professor Johnson is an associate professor in criminology at the Lead City University in Ibadan, Nigeria. He's a specialist in criminology, victimology, social problems, and social works, with a special interest in victims' crime reporting to the police. He has done extensive work in the various states of Nigeria, and his latest interest in cultural victimology, where he intends to interrogate cultural value-driven praxis within the framework of Yoruba beliefs. His work was focused on social responses to victimization, police attitude to victims, women as victim of widowhood, subsidy withdrawal injustice, and marital rape. Professor Johnson has some of his works published in local and reputable scholarly international journal, and he's also the editor of Global Perspective on Victimization, Prevention, and Analysis. Professor Johnson, you have the floor. Thank you so much. I will be giving you the floor for 8 minutes. Please enlighten us.
Good morning.
Good
from
morning.
Nigeria.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, my topic is the political elite factor in Nigeria's security and infrastructural prospects. I shall be ellipsing some of the material of time. This article probes the effects of the political elite factor on the security and infrastructural strength of Nigeria. Almost globally, the political elites set agenda for stable security and infrastructural progress. The foresight of proactive political elites transforms societies into places of safety. This benefit eludes the communities led by reactive political elites, such as Nigeria. To sustain the enjoyment of the benefits of proactive political elites, citizens of developed societies cautiously and consciously recruit altruistic candidates into political offices. The ignorance of the long-term values of the proactive position seekers compels the electorates in the developing societies to throw up reactive elites into political offices. This political error manifests in insecurity and infrastructural deficit everywhere in Nigeria. Africa lacks proactive political elites who are motivated into public positions to improve the lots of the greatest number of people. Their reactive counterparts seek power for self-gratification. Today, education and globalization have made political consciousness so widespread in Africa. Therefore, judging by the realities of the NSAS protests of 2020, the seeming interminable influence of the political elites has been challenged in Nigeria. The fallout from the confrontation is twofold. First, the immediate post-colonial Nigerians lack the audacity to challenge the capricious political elites who have dominated the political space like a colossus since independence. Second, the contemporary Nigerian youths have expressed their dissatisfaction with the tenuous excuses of the political elites for the incompetence that causes the dividends of democracy to elude all and sundry. I will be ellipsing the literature review to save time. So I would now go to the objective of this article is to probe the effects of political elite factor in Nigeria on security and infrastructural progress. It realizes this objective by answering the following questions. Who constitutes the political elites in Nigeria? How do political elite factor impact security and infrastructural provision in Nigeria? Third, how can the security and infrastructural thoughts of the political elites be made to achieve the Nigerian dream? Theoretical framework. Briefly, this article adopts Wilfredo Pareto's theory of circulation of elites. The method that I used is qualitative. It reviewed available secondary data from archival sources. Results. Below are the findings of this article in respect of the 3 research questions which combine to form the core focus of its analysis. 1, the constitution of Nigeria's political elites. This section presents data on the origin and membership of the political elites in Nigeria. In pre-colonial Nigerian societies, traditional rulers, princes, and chiefs, wealthy long-distance traders and priests, etc., constituted the political elites. However, as Western education intensified, Westernized male and female Nigerian elites emerged. The unity of the earliest political elites was reinforced by their collective opposition to colonialism. With the exit of the colonialists, ethnic rivalries shattered the existing unity among the political elites. With time, the selfish practices of the political elites began to compromise the security infrastructure and infrastructural resources of Nigeria. To remain exclusive, the recruitment procedure of the political elite became more incredibly restrictive. In Nigeria, the political elite displayed social distrust to the detriment of the enhancement of social order, according to Fagba Debo, 2007. Since they are occupants of top, or APES, according to Dogan 2000, including the executive branch of government before 2011, the political elites have the opportunity to improve the security and infrastructural quality of the country. Lamentably, however, they use political power to ensure that they hold to power. Here and Burasi, 2011 to 2013. A critical analysis of Buhari's 2021 proposal to the world leaders in Glasgow that Nigeria will require $1.5 trillion in 10 years to bridge the existing infrastructural gap shows that the creation and behavior of the elite group in Nigeria are inconsistent with the values of national development. The political elites in Nigeria have nothing to learn from the submission of John Foster, 1974, that great initiatives from within the elite groups are significantly vital for national development. According to Frank, 1991, in Nigeria, the prostrate socio-economic condition in which security and infrastructure decay leave the citizens appears to justify the civil uprising of the Nigerian youth in 2020 against insensitive governance by Nigeria's political elite. Two, what are the implications of the political elite factor for security and infrastructural well-being of Nigeria? This section presents the effect of the political elite factor on Nigeria's security and infrastructural strength. Despite the 371,000 police personnel, 130,000 in the army, 18,000 and 15,000 in the Navy and Air Force, respectively, according to Yagboyaju 2016, page 52, the antics of the Nigerian political elite still characterize the Nigerian space with insecurity and underdevelopment. Noticeably, they romanticize with all the values of genuine democracy, so genuine democratic traditions during every election, but the majority of their political practices negate the principles of ideal democratic norms. They do this by rendering the electorate's votes incompetent of reflecting the voters' actual wishes that the political elites understand as politics. Onyeshi to 2018. Most of the time, the recklessness of the political elite compares the people to struggle pathetically with the agonizing effects of the country's economic recession in the face of associated security threats, according to Taylor 2016. Some of the political elites were involved in unbecoming cases of impunity that endangered the Nigerian polity. For example, Colonel Sambu Dasuki, the former security advisor to President Jonathan, was accused of a 28.3 billion ant money scandal. Also, the former secretary to the government of the Federation had corruption charges made against him, according to Premium Times, Pulse, 2019, Pulse 2019, and this day, 2019. Furthermore, the desperation of power by the politicians, election violence, rigging, and many more are manifestations of political instability in the country, according to Council of Foreign Relations Report 2019, that threaten national security from which the political elites cannot wash their hands clean. The implication of Ibikunle Amosun and Dino Melaye in cases of illegal possession of arms shows that political indiscipline involving the political elites do not just destroy the infrastructure of Nigeria, they put national security at risk, at a serious risk. Moreover, their action proved that honesty often results in deepened social tensions, violence, and legitimacy crisis with grave implications for national security. So we need to redirect that's number 3, we need to redirect the security and infrastructure thoughts of the Nigerian political elites in Nigeria. This section presents how the painful effects of the political elites on the security and infrastructure strength of Nigeria can be minimized. In most structured democracies, the political elites constitute the hub of security and infrastructure development. They are the forces that make the adequacy of infrastructural services sine qua non for economic development. Regrettably, the Nigerian political elites are harbingers of manifold socio-economic inequalities, relegation, political exclusion, corruption, economic dispossession, unfair allocation and distribution of state resources, among others. At an honest recovery and rational utilization of the large source of money stolen from Nigeria since independence by some fraudulent political elites could fix the dilapidated security architectures and infrastructures and even create new ones, according to Benjamin 2013. A return of Nigeria to fiscal federalism can effectively strengthen the confederating units to address insecurity through the development of altruistic political initiatives. Today, the rat race to develop efficiency to access global capital in a global economy where competitive investment advantage goes to environments in which the safety of life and property for rewarding outcomes compels the government to pay more attention to security, Lemon 2021. In this light, Ajibola 2020 suggested that the government should intensify efforts, especially in the area of security and provisions of electricity because they affect the cost of operation, which is ultimately passed on to the consumers. In conclusion, This article examines the constitution of Nigeria's political elite, the implications of the political elite factor for Nigeria's security, the way the political elite factor shapes the state of infrastructure wellness of Nigeria, and suggests how the security and infrastructure thought of the political elite of Nigeria could be redirected towards development. It adopts Pareto's theory of circulation of elites to explain how the Nigerian project became a victim of the Nigerian political elites who control the means of production, state apparatus, revenue allocation, and sharing of the resources and dictate the rhythm of security and infrastructure progress. For this reason, this paper argues that the political elites are to blame for the insecurity and infrastructural deficits in Nigeria. However, the article suggests a paradigm shift that will enable the political elites to use what Nigeria has to attain the best possible lofty height to which Nigeria can aspire. Furthermore, the article acknowledges the responses of some political elites to the sanitization of Nigerian polity against financial infections and their abysmal failure in this context. It knows three realities of the social rebellion of the political elites against the Nigerian people. The first, the satanic constitution, which provides the immunity that shields corrupt political office holders from investigation while in office. The second is collapse at investigation panels, a ruse intended to unduly elongate the judicial procedure to make the maxim that justice delayed is justice denied applicable in their cases. The third is the abuse of plea bargaining that presents the judicial system as corruption supported. With all these distractions, the enlightened but unemployed youth whose life chances and political elites have cleverly compromised began to show different kinds of resentment that feed into insecurity and infrastructural danger. In the light of the available data, this article makes the following recommendations. 1, mass education should simulate political altruism in Nigeria for security and infrastructural health. 2, the judicial independence is a sine.
Sorry, you have frozen. Professor Johnson.
Well known for security to hierarchy of a rule of law, but one should be the article of it for all Nigeria. Ideal federalism should drive sustainable security and infrastructure wellness across Nigeria. Finally, public policy should neutralize radicalized youth across the country through empowerment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor. You were frozen for a moment and you were muted, but I'll ask you to come back on your recommendations during the question and answer section, because that is, I mean, surely the pinnacle of your whole presentation. And unfortunately, we're only able to hear 1 and then 4 and 5, I believe. But thank you so much for this presentation. We have a few questions that have already come in from the audience, but I will address those later. First, I will go to our second speaker of the day, Dr. Constance Omokaro Romanus. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. So Dr. Omokaro Romanus is an operations director at Precision Consulting and Research Services in the Netherlands. She holds a PhD in business administration and management studies with a specialization in business strategy in emerging market from Huddersfield University Business School in the UK. She was also a lecturer in international business management, and before entering academia, Dr. Omokaro Romanus worked as an IT specialist for several years in the Netherlands. Dr. Omokaro Romanus will be speaking today of the impact of good governance on trade and economic development. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. I really look forward to your presentation. Similarly, I'm going to ask you to stick to your 8 minutes mark for your introductory comments, and then we'll come back to you during the question and answer. Doctor, you have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you.
All right, thank you. I would like to use this opportunity to thank AfricaFora for inviting me to be a speaker in this Africa Wazobia Week 2021. I'm honored. My name is Dr. Constance Omokaro Romanus, and as our moderator have said, I'm talking from the Netherlands here. And my topic today is the impact of good governance on trade and economic development. I think when I heard about this Africa Week, I believe this topic become really stronger in my mind. And Nigeria influence as an emerging market is dwindling. However, Nigeria's size, population, and its position in the continent provide an opportunity for trade and economic development. Despite the advantages Nigeria has, despite its power, they still struggle to develop trade and economy. This, I believe, is due to lack of a good governance in Africa in general and in Nigeria in particular. And in this presentation, good governance to me means the ability to demonstrate seriousness and commitment for trade and economic, social reforms and development. For instance, in the Global Governance Performance Index of 2021, out of 104 countries studied, Nigeria was number 104. Mali and Mozambique did better than Nigeria on Global Good Governance Performance Index. Nigeria was only better than Zimbabwe and Venezuela. That was rather very, very disappointing. I believe good governance can propel a country's economy and trade and economy. When discussing governance indicators or pillars of a good governance, they are categorized into six aspects. And these I will take one by one. The 6 categories I will be discussing one after the other as I go on briefly on this my presentation this morning. And then number 1 is a good governance and government effectiveness. Governance is the process of decision-making and process by which decisions are implemented or even not implemented. Government is the primary actor of good governance. And the other actors of good governance will include farmers associations, cooperative organizations, NGO, research institute, financial institutions, political parties, security apparatus of a nation, even the religious leader. Good government effectiveness measures the quality of public services and their degree of independence from political pressure when they develop, formulate, and implement policies, and the credibility of such commitment of the government or those apparent status to implement such policies. When looking at governance, effective visionary and leadership becomes a very paramount, because it's only when you have good leadership that can develop progressive laws that a country can develop its economy and trade. Going further, the next one is regulatory quality. Regulatory quality involves robust policies, laws, and regulation. Government roles are primary actor in a good governance is important in developing and implementing sound policies to promote businesses, private sector, and also as well as promote trade and economic development. This regulatory quality will also involve the rule of law, following due process, independent, efficient, and judiciary that are independent from external influence. Also, ability for government or the stakeholders to develop a progressive trade and investment policies should become paramount in this regulatory quality. Adherence to contractual terms and protection of property rights is important. Quality regulation by country is bound to attract both local and foreign investors in all sectors of the economy. Security and stability is the third, which is very important when we talk about developing trade and economy in a country. This security includes political stabilities, absence of violence and terrorism in a country, trade and economy can only flourish in a secure and stable environment, and decline and absence of security will result in a trade and economic collapse, which will result in lack of investment interest from both and local and foreign investors. Countries that are plagued by insecurity and conflict cannot benefit fully from international trade or from a foreign direct investment. Unresolved conflict can marginalize the country from global trade or global market. Thus, the negative impact of conflict will last long even after the end of hostilities. So, security and stability become very vital when the country starts to think about developing its trade and economy. And the fourth one is these indicators or the pillars of a good governance is accountability by leaders and public servants, willingness and strive to control corruption and hold people accountable and make them face the law when they are found wanting becomes important when developing trade and economy. You cannot have economic development or trade development without accountability or control of corruption, especially in these days when business or when advanced countries require their organizations, their business people, their investors to work and do business following a set of standards and ethics, and shun corruption when they go abroad or when they try to invest in foreign countries. Going further, number 5 is attractive marketplace. Attractive marketplace will include strong institutions such as financial institutions, developing a strong emerging middle class. Infrastructural development is also there, like developing road, transport system, electricity, development of supply chain system. Also, ability for higher and quality higher and research institute, a quality specialized labor provision, and also it also includes stable political environment and development of different sectors of the economy. Not to forget, the last of this is the favorable nation brand. How do people see our country will have impact on how we develop our trade and economy? Because most investors will not be interested to develop in a country that have unfavorable brand. The last of these indicators, but not the least, is a human development and people empowerment. You can have all of the factors together and working together. If you don't develop humans and people in the society, those will not work. In this part, the youth development become very paramount, targeting specific knowledge and skills that is needed in this current world, and quality education for all, skill acquisition for youth and students, and also provision of viable soft loans for startup and trade employable youth. If this is able to, if the government of the country is able to do this, they will have the ability to drive the youth out of the street, focus them on the specific skills, and then you can start to see stability and the reduction in of insecurity in the country, especially as we can see in Nigeria today. Way forward, or to conclude this section, as you've seen so far, if you're able to harness, if a country or Nigeria is able to harness these 6 key areas or pillars of indicators, they're able to drive a trade and economic growth in the country. Nigeria cannot talk about economic growth or trade development without harnessing all these 6 key areas. Good governance and the country prosperity is interlinked and connected. Effective government governance create opportunity for its citizens to thrive that will form a foundation for national development and prosperity. And it is also important for government to have the capability to measure the key governance areas that will enable them to determine how to develop the prosperity or all key areas in the country. Good governance, if approached properly, can result in high level of public trust, which will increase ease of doing business in a country, especially in a country like Nigeria. All stakeholders will need to understand this also. Finally, good governance in host markets can attract both local and foreign investors, as well as increase investment intensity, because quality governance will mitigate foreign investors' capital risk, political and economic risk, because investors are unlikely to stay in a highly uncertain environment. This should become a focus for all stakeholders, developing secure and stable business environment, developing attractive market that will result in trade and economic development. It's only by doing this that we will turn a giant with a clay feet to become a giant, Nigeria as a giant with iron feet, and taking its right position in Africa and in the world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. This was very inspiring. And I think also there were a few indicators that you highlighted that go along what Professor Johnson had highlighted as well. So I look forward to our third contribution and to see the questions that the audience has for you today. So thank you very much. And then now we'll be going to our third and final speaker of this session, Nigeria, a giant with feet of clay. And it is Mr. Azuka Ohuka, who will be talking about saving our land from mindless urbanization today. So Mr. Ohuka is a brand management consultant and strategist with 25 years experience in the communication industry that spans almost all aspects of the communication industry, including some time spent at the newspaper This Day as the brand and marketing editor in charge of the advertising and brand related pages. He was also the pioneer editor of Nigeria's first brand-focused journal, Brand Faces. Mr. Ohuka later went into the banking industry, managing brand management and communications for the Hayers Group. He is the co-founder of August Consulting, a media and brand management consultancy, as well as Nesma Xandria Limited, a marketing communications focused training and recruitment company meant to increase the knowledge base of the industry. In 2012, he was contracted to consult for Silver Bullet PR for 12 months as its country director, and he is finally a course facilitator in communications, media relations, strategy, marketing, and brand management, as well as a reputable author and a crowd-pulling columnist at the Punch newspaper. So, Ohuka, you have the floor for 8 minutes, and I look forward to being enlightened on how we can save our land from mindless urbanization for 8 minutes. Sir, please take the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you very well.
Yes. Thank you for the honor to be here. My topic is saving our land from mindless urbanization. And the first problem here is that we have a wrong perception of what a city is. We believe that a city is the same thing as a concrete jungle. We believe that trees and other natural things are not supposed to be in a city. And it has created cities here that are very hot, cities where you will not feel at home, cities where you just feel that you are in a very unfriendly environment. We have examples like Lagos, we have Onitsha in the southeast, and other cities in Nigeria, with the exclusion of perhaps Abuja, Enugu, Calabar, and maybe some parts of Kaduna and a few others. we don't really have cities that are worthy to be classified as cities. And so we have been progressing in this negative, we have been progressing with this negative mindset about what a city is. And, we have been creating cities that are very, 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 very uninhabitable. So my suggestion in this paper is that we should think differently. Our ancestors were more intelligent and more modern than we are. For example, if you have read the Things Fall Apart, you hear of Wazobia. Wazobia is the evil forest. It is the forest that is reserved by the people, that nobody should cut anything from it. Nobody should do anything, should even go into it. It was not an intentional conservation strategy, but it was. There were usually streams that should never be fished from. There were jungles that should never be, no tree should be cut down from them. And there were some animals that were used as totems. These were animals that no one should kill. These were their ways of preserving nature. And that way they were naturally healthier than we are today. So today, what we should be thinking of is for government to devise means of ensuring that as we develop, that our cities don't turn to concrete jungles, that we have environments where we can live happily and peacefully. For example, if you look at Paris, look at New York, you have cities that are modern and also have trees all over the place. They have parks. Here, what we'll do is that we'll destroy our parks and we'll convert them to city malls, we'll convert them to markets. And so we are developing in a way that if somebody wants to relax, for example, in my street, there is no place where I can go to sit down. When I went to London or to US, I could, in the evening, go down the street and sit down in a park there and relax, doing nothing. But here, every place is occupied, every place is built up. And then government is not giving that leadership by ensuring that people don't construct their houses close to the water channel or the gutters in front of their houses. They build until they touch the gutters. And so there is even no place to plant even flowers, not talk about the trees. And so this is a pure election of duty. I suggest that government should lead by example. By all state governors, all local government chairmen should start to ensure that people build according to the urban plan. Secondly, there should be a kind of green tax for those who have no trees in their premises. So if a developer, for example, wants to make too much money, he ensures that he builds all over the house, all over the space without any tree. Now he should be paying a tax for not having a tree, with at least 2 trees in each premises. Now, if you have at least two or three trees, there should be a tax relief for people who have such. So it will encourage people to plant trees in their compound. Secondly, government should start to orientate the people, start what is like a mass orientation program, whereby people are shown the importance of planting trees and planting flowers. And then, there should be a policy that no compound should be all German floor. That is the practice here. All compounds are, because, we think that it is more convenient We use concrete on all the land space. So all the water coming down from the roof, none of them sifts into the ground. They touch the German floor and they all flow out. And then if you go out when the rain is falling, you see a mass of water. The flooding is too much and our environments are being destroyed. So if you have green areas in each compound, so if you have a small compound that is about 500 square meters, you should not build 10-story building there, 10-story house, and then fill every place with concrete. You should build according to your space. You should not build towards the road, and you should create flower areas, tree areas within your compound. That way we'll build a cleaner society, a healthier society, and a happier society for the future and for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was also a very precious contribution. And actually the fact that you've shown how our ancient traditions were protecting the environment and what we're calling development is actually underdevelopment because it's leading to the downfall of our country and our nature. So without further ado, I will jump right into the Q&A. It will be a bit shorter than planned, but we have quite a few questions. So I will be addressing some of them directly to a speaker. Some will be addressed to more than a speaker. I see that there is a question that has been asked from the audience, which is to Mr. Unga. Since you were the last one, I will start with you. The question is, don't you think that this being the mindless urbanization is due to the population, the rising population numbers in Nigeria, developing to keep up with the number of people to help the economy? How can we balance the rapid development and rapid urbanization, which is for people to have housing, and the need to consider the place of nature in all of this development?
Yes, we can strike a balance between the two by, first of all, developing other cities. For example, Lagos is overpopulated.
Yep.
There are too many things in Lagos, too many people who should not be in Lagos. But even at that, Lagos is not as populated as some cities like Tokyo and Co. But they have tried to plan their cities in a sensible way. For example, you have places where you call residential areas. You have places where you call industrial areas. You ensure that no industry or no church is built within places where human beings live and sleep. A residential area should be a residential area. If there is a specification that there should be no building that should be more than a story building, a story house, or two-story building, it should be maintained. But what we have here is that people build churches within residential areas, they build factories within residential areas, they even build shopping malls within this area. So there is no, there is a kind of, nobody is in charge. But if you see that some cities are too populated, we can, for example, in Lagos, we have Ogun State. People are on their own moving gradually to, but government can take the initiative and develop cities by creating things that will attract people in other communities and not put everything in one or two cities for because everybody is now moving to Lagos because that is where all the companies are, that is where all the facilities are.
Yeah. Okay, understood. Thank you very much. I think our next question will be for Dr. Omukaro Romano. So I'll get back to you, Mr. Omuka. Thank you so much. Which is, it's a dual question. So one of it was based on the comment that you made, which was how there cannot be good trade and economic development without good governance. But can there be good governance without a significant amount of trade and developing economic development, sorry? Isn't it a vicious circle, and how can we turn it into a virtuous circle, in your opinion? I will give you 2 minutes for that question, if you can answer it in 2 minutes.
Thank you. That is a very good question. I believe government or the governors can put, if you can only have trade and economic development, you cannot have of true good governance, not the other way around, that you have trade and economic development. How do you develop trade and economy without having a good governance in place? Trade cannot develop itself. Economy cannot develop itself without policies, without viable and progressive policies directed towards trade and economic development. For example, let's take, if you go back to before 1999, Nigeria economy was dwindling, the GDP was dwindling. But when Obasanjo came with the liberalization policy, the open policies that was created, you could see from that 1999 to 2014, Nigeria GDP grew and they became the first, the largest economy in Africa. You can see because of the progressive trade policy. Before the Obasanjo regime, Nigeria banks were not allowed to have subsidiaries abroad, but when the policies was open, you can see the Nigeria banks flooded the Africa market, start to have retail banking sectors in all countries around Africa and around Africa. So I believe that good governance can lead to trade and economic development. It's not the other way around. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had a question for Professor Johnson, but I'm hoping he will come back soon. Yes, there he is. Okay, so Professor Johnson, thank you. We have quite a few questions. Due to time constraints, I will be choosing one. This is a very good one that we had from the audience. If changes were to occur, so the changes that you were speaking of in terms of the political elites, how long of a process would it be to reverse the current consequences that we have of the current political system and elites that we have? How long do you think it will take for us to get to a time and place where we will have effective, efficient, and benevolent political elites for the good of our country?
I think the duration should not be the question, because if you look at the time that has caused Nigeria to get to this level of decay, then we have to fast forward in our approach. And my approach is the recruitment of the family with values that reflect our culture, and education that also puts premium on transparency in our daily life.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for being brief. I really appreciate it. I'll try and take one more question per speaker, and then we will perhaps bring this session to a close and move to our next session. We've had a few questions directly in the Q&A from Mr. Unga, and then we have two more from the audience I will bring in for Dr. Mokara Romanos and Professor Johnson. Mr. Unga, we have a question from Jude Romanos in the audience. He says he thanks you for your presentation, and he is asking, what is your take on the following? So one of the issues affecting the points you mentioned is our land ownership system. But before changing our current land ownership system, we will first ensure that we eradicate corruption, especially on the government level, to avoid allocating land to themselves, family members, and friends. What is your take on this issue and how it contributes to mindless urbanization?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, our land ownership system might be a hindrance. However, there is the land decree, which vests all lands in the hands of the government. And it has been in operation, yet government has found a way to navigate this. There are some places where government will allow the citizens or the indigenes to take ownership of. But there are, when the government needs any part of the land for any development, government will take it because the law says that all lands belong to government. So it is a problem, but that is not the real reason why we have mindless urbanization. I think it is in our mindset. We don't understand the concept of an urban community. We don't understand the concept of development. We believe that development is when you have skyscrapers and when you have tarred roads and all that. So if we start to understand that trees are supposed to give us the oxygen we breathe, that without trees, we won't have oxygen. We will know that every house should have at least 1 or 2 trees. It should be a policy. It is something that when people understand that they're not planting the trees just because of the government, that they are planting the trees because of themselves, their own lives, they'll start to imbibe that. In the villages, people do it now. They plant trees, for example, in my town in May, you will see that people plant trees within their compound, but they are usually trees that they will harvest from. For example, mango trees, orange trees, avocado. They don't plant aesthetic trees. They plant trees that are functional, that will bear fruit. So we can introduce that here and say that you should have at least 1 or 2 trees. You are not doing it just for the government. You are doing it
for yourself
because you need the oxygen.
Absolutely.
And the more you have trees, the more, if every compound has at least 2 trees, the whole city will look green.
Thank you very much, sir. Doctor, we're having quite a few questions coming in. I'm sorry in advance to our audience, we won't be able to take all of our questions today. But I'm very glad that you're engaging very much with the topic of our 3 speakers. So Dr. Mukara Romanis, I have, sorry, I have a second question for you, forgive me. So the question is, as you said, if every other condition for good governance is present, even if it is all of them are reunited, one that is essential is developing or empowering the people. Without this, good governance is impossible. And you mentioned education as a way to empower the youth, but can you speak more on how we can develop / empower people and how this contributes to good governance, please?
I think, as we all know, empowering the people in Nigeria, there's neglect when empowering the people. I think I can attest to that. I can say, since my childhood to this very moment, I have not received anything from the Nigeria government because there is lack of empowerment of the people. And how do you start to empower people? We're talking about crime. We're talking about high crime in Nigeria. We're talking about kidnapping, about ritualists. Do you know what is causing that? Because the youth are let loose in the very early stage without giving government or other organization involving in giving them direction. How do you empower youth? You can start to catch them from the very young age. You can start to direct. In the Netherlands, as young as age 5, they direct almost all the boys to play football. They may not become professional. They create a skill. Some can become doing all kinds of sports. I have a 9-year-old daughter here. She goes to gymnastics. She goes to handball. She goes to swimming almost every week. So which means they are being focused, their attention is focused on something positive. And Nigeria government can create educational system, understand what is required, the kind of skills and knowledge. Doesn't mean everybody has to go to the university. Even if in the secondary level, develops people's skills that they can utilize once they are outside our university, because our system is very porous and it doesn't provide for the next stage of our lives. And they are manufacturing students from secondary schools, from colleges, from university, without plan on how to absorb them. If we develop specific skills, understand those skills, and then focus the youth attention to that, you can see all this insecurity, banditry that is going on in the country will be reduced.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Doctor. Thank you for your response. And I think I will take our last question of the day. And it will be for, I know we have quite a few questions coming in, and I really want to thank the audience for engaging with our speakers. But unfortunately, I have to take our last question for this session, and I welcome the audience to stay for other sessions, as we will be linking all of these together as we go on throughout the conference. So our last question for this session, Professor Ayodele Johnson, can you speak more, if at all you feel comfortable and is your expertise, the role that ethnic rivalry plays in corrupting or skewing the political elites system that we have currently in Nigeria? You're muted, sir. You're muted. We can't hear you. You're still muted. Yes, perfect.
Ethnic rivalry.
Yes, so the role that it plays, if at all it plays a role in perpetuating this corrupt political elite system.
Yeah, ethnic rivalry is there, but it's not playing as much a significant role as the unity of the political elite in stealing collective wealth. Because you see an Hausa elite, political elite, Yoruba political elite, Igbo political elite in the same political party, frameworking national theft. Okay, so I wouldn't think it is only when they're asking votes for political ascendancy that elites from different political parties appear to be talking against themselves. But after the elections, they have a wonderful way of coming back together to share the national wealth. There is no rivalry, no ethnic rivalry that puts them apart when it comes to the distribution of national cake.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So with this, I will be thanking our three speakers and our patron for the day, who has been very patient and stayed with us throughout this session, for their priceless contribution. So I think we've all asserted that Nigeria is, at the moment, unfortunately, a giant with feet of clay, but we've also highlighted very concrete ways. We have very concrete recommendations, giving incentive or tax relief when we're planting trees, we have indicators that need to be achieved to get good governance, to challenge the current political elite system. We need more independence of regulators of the judiciary. We need more insistence on the rule of law, better protection of property rights, better incentive for investors, better education of our youth, and political education overall of our population, so that they can engage more with these issues. And I think these are very key things that will no doubt come up as well in later conversations in this conference. So I want to thank again our three speakers today. So Dr. Constance Omokaro-Romanus, Mr. Azuka Omuka, and then Professor Ayodele Johnson. Thank you so much for your contributions. They're greatly appreciated. His Royal Majesty Eze Oje Amanaba, thank you so much for your words, your blessing at the opening, and forgive us for our virtual cola breaking and sharing this morning. Thank you so much for your patience this far. We will be having a short intercession. I welcome all of our speakers to stay and engage with the later sessions. We will be starting very shortly. We'll have just a short intercession to allow our staff to just prepare for the next session, which will be looking at tapping into the potential of tech for Nigeria's future, looking as well as at elements of youth and youth engagement. But for now, we will be having a short intercession by Simi, who is a singer, Nigerian singer, who is now based in French. Her full name is Adegoke Adesimisola Alice. She's Nigerian-born, France-based artist who is poised to take the Nigerian and French scene by storm. She's a versatile artist, composer, and songwriter whose influences range from Whitney Houston to Jay-Z and Eve, as it will be obvious when listening to her music. She's a very prized artist. She has been recognized for a variety of international prizes in Asia and in Nigeria. She's performed with renowned artists, and she has allowed us today to share her music. So this will be just a short intercession that we'll have. She plays a lot of engaged music, especially on Black Lives Matter, looking also at African development, et cetera, et cetera. She has some gospel music, and we are privileged to be able to share her music today. And we will be welcoming our next speakers for the session, who I will be introducing right after this intercession. Thank you very much for engaging with us so far. I'll see you very soon.
Coming through one time. Coming through one time. Hey. I saw the hustle every day. Yeah, they pray so hard. And I know say one day, Baba God, you go answer my prayers. I saw the hustle every day. And I did pray so hard. I know say one day, Baba God, you go answer my prayer. Baba pick my call, oh, ring, 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 you call the ring. Every day, every time, I dey communicate, oh. Baba, please answer my call. God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, no, 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 no. He no go shame us, so Baba. God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, no, 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 no. He no go shame us, so I'm yo. Everything go set, Segamenge, everything go set, oh. Everything go set, Segamenge, everything go set, oh. Very soon, everything go set, oh. I'm yo, I'm yo, I'm yo. I say God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, no, 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 no. He no go shame us, so Baba. God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, he no go shame us, he no go shame us, no, I'm yo, no, 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 no. I say God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, he no go shame us, no, he no go shame us, oh, Baba. Just believe it. God no go shame us, Baba God no go shame us, no, 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 no. He no go shame us, so I'm yo. Hey, I'm yo, 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 I'm yo.